What better thing to do on a rainy day than to read books? So here are my 4 books. Poldark by Winston Graham, The Lamplighters by Emma Stonex, The Mercies by Kira Millward Hargrave, and The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. And I have some very yummy hot chocolate and a cosy place to read. Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who also enjoys tea. And I've now just lost the plot because I totally meant to pick this cut up, not the other one. So I don't know where I was going. But welcome anyway. I think I'm the one that's lost today, so my intro is out, but I've already filmed other bits. So I'm just going to keep rolling because I can't edit. On this channel, we do one shot. There is no editing. And today I want to do a tea and taste, which has been a very long time coming. So cheers, everyone. So back in July, which was a really long time ago, I did my TBR game, and I didn't do a set TBR. I used it to pull out books to put on my seasonal shelf to kind of bring to my attention that I might read, and I chose 4 books to do a tea and taste with. And then July was so busy I never got around to doing the tea and taste. It's now October, but that's fine. It's fine. We're just going to enjoy it now. So it's going to be kind of probably end of October, beginning of November that I'm going to choose one of these books to be reading, but I'm going to do the tea and taste to decide which one that is going to be. So my first book is Poldark by Winston Graham. I have had this one for a long time. I found it in a garden centre along with Demelza for £5, and I have enjoyed the BBC drama Poldark, so I thought it'd be really fun to read the books. So this is a historical fiction. It was written in 1945, and it is set in the late 1700s. So I think it's like I think it starts in 1783. It does say. Yeah, it starts in 1783. Oh, in October as well. That's cool. So it tells the story of basically a family and their lives, their fortunes, and I'm keen to read it. So I'm going to dive into this one and see what it's like. So all nice and cozy. I've got my very snuggly jumper on, which has got lovely stitch on it, which is very cozy, and nice fluffy blanket, and of course drink. So I'm going to tuck into this and I'll let you know what I think of the first chapter. I haven't looked at them all to kind of see how much, but I think this is a prologue. And yes, I'm going to read the prologue, and then there's like a first part of the first chapter. So about 20 pages. So I'm roughly going to do that with all of them, about 20 pages, to give them all a good fighting chance to see which one I decide to continue reading with. So I have finished. I have read my 20 pages. I've also finished my lovely hot chocolate. It wasn't tea, it was hot chocolate. So I'm going to need to rectify the drink situation in a moment. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. It's really easy to read, like straight away. I think because I know the story, I already kind of have an idea of who these characters are and what's going to be happening with them, and I'm keen to see things play out. So they've already mentioned Verity in here. Verity, pardon me. Verity is such a beloved character, definitely from watching the TV series. So I'm excited to kind of get to meet her in book form. So we have kind of the beginnings of the 2 brothers in the Poldark family, and one of them is dying. They're very different fortunes, and the dying one is Ross Poldark's father, and is talking to his brother saying, can you just, make sure that you welcome Ross back when he comes home from fighting. And there's a possible marriage that was being arranged between him and his sweetheart. and you know, hopefully he will inherit this land and we'll be able to make it work. And then we meet Ross coming back on the coach, looking, I suppose, broody would probably be the word. But it's very, very easy to read and get into. I don't know if you can hear, but I was kind of playing some music in the background. I totally forgot to switch it off, but it got a little bit too overpowering, so I've just gone and changed it. Where was I? Yeah, so it was very easy to pick up and sort of engaging, taking you back sort of to the beginnings of this family. So I'm definitely keen to keep reading. What is probably holding me back from this one is the fact that I know it's a series and I don't necessarily want to get into another series right now, because I'm very much in the mindset of there's certain series I want to be finishing off before I welcome in any more. But I do feel that when I get to it, I am going to have a good time with these, I think. It's very like engaging writing, so it works. So let's have a look at the next one that I'm going to go for. And that is The Lamplighters by Emma Stonex. So this is a book that was inspired by an event. So it does say it in here. Let me just find it. Oh yeah, so it says, in December 1900, 3 lighthouse keepers disappeared from a remote rock island on the Isle of Eleanor Moor in the Outer Hebrides. The Lamplighters is inspired by and written in respectful memory of this event, but it's a work of fiction. So the story, I think it starts off in the 1970s. So I think there's different timelines in here that are explored, so I'm keen to see all about that. It's supposed to be a mystery. It's also set in Cornwall, so far we've got 2 Cornish coast books in this Tea and Taste, which is quite entertaining. So yeah, it's set in Cornwall 1972, and then I think there's 20 years after that, so then that would be 1992. And it says, it's an intoxicating and suspenseful mystery, an unforgettable story of love and grief that explores the way our fears blur the lines between the real and the imagined. And I do very much love the cover on the front of this with the gold, like the lighthouse and this swirling seas of like reds and purples. And the end pages are very pretty as well. You've got like blue and black swirliness, and I did get the Waterstones edition with the sprayed edges that match the blues and purples along the back cover there. So I'm excited to get into this. It feels really cozy to be reading a book about a lighthouse or possibly a storm when it's a bit of a grey rainy day outside. So I will check back in with you in a bit, and I'm going to deal with the tea situation as well, or the lack of. And I am intrigued. So with this one, I have read, again, 20 pages, very helpfully kind of stopping at a good stopping point. So we have like a little prologue of 1972, and then we have a little chapter here that then says 1992. So the 1972 stuff is where they are going to discover the missing men from the lighthouse. And then 1992, there is an author who wants to look into it for like a non-fiction book about what happened to these 3 lighthouse keepers that seem to just vanish from their lighthouse. And I am intrigued. It has got a really fun atmosphere in here already. The description of like the boat sailing across to the lighthouse, like how isolated this lighthouse is, and that it's like over 100 feet high, and it's called the Maiden. And the person sailing the boat talks about how, you know, there's other lighthouses that are all really tricky to land a boat on. So there's the Bishop, the Wolf, and the Maiden. And it just sounds like it just gives it an extra level of like slightly creepy freakiness. And they go in detail about talking through, describing this lighthouse and how it's just abandoned and there's nothing there and it was locked from the inside. And it's very much giving me kind of like, you know, Marie Celeste vibes. And there's newspaper clippings. So in between the 2 little different sections that I read, there's a newspaper clipping talking about the fact that people have, the lighthouse keepers have disappeared, and then another one talking about the the renowned author that's coming to explore this vanishing 20 years later and see if he can uncover the mystery of what happened. So yes, intrigue levels very high in this. Haven't obviously really met any of the characters as of yet. It's just very much the premise being laid out for us, but the writing feels very atmospherical, and it does. So I had originally kind of pegged this as like a really fun sort of like suspenseful thing to read in the summer because it's set by the sea. But I think as well it works really well in the autumn for like that kind of cozy atmosphere, stay at home, and you can just imagine the sea like crashing outside in the dark and it being a bit cold and there being mist. It just kind of adds to all of that creepiness. And I actually live by the sea, so this is quite a lot of fun for all of that. It'd be really lovely to like go and read this in sort of like one of the pubs or cafes on the seafront. That would be quite exciting, I think. So yes, I am intrigued. This is definitely a possibility. It's a standalone, so it's not got baggage. And it feels like it would be really fun to read around now. And I am very much hooked into it. So we'll see what I think of the other books, and I will let you know. So the next book that I'm going to be looking at is The Mercies by Kieran Millward Hargrave, who is an author I feel I'm going to love. Read nothing from her. Have quite a few of her books. I think this is her first adult novel. She previously wrote YA and children's fiction. I have some of her books. I have got The Girl of Ink and Stars and another one, Under My Bed, and Julia and the Shark. So I'm very keen to try her writing because I feel that it's going to be really cool, and I'm really excited by the premise of this book. So this, again, it's another historical fiction. Again, it's sea-based. I really did not have that sort of like coastal theme when I was pulling these books out, but that kind of feels like what it's having, and then one total opposite one. So again, like, I really love the cover of all of the flowers and the women on here, and the sort of the waves and the boats. So this is set in the sort of early 1600s. So again, we've got another kind of mystery, like sea-based sort of disaster. So there's a storm, and all of it's a fishing island. So the sea around the remote Norwegian island of Vardø is thrown into a reckless storm, and then 40 fishermen are swept away and lost to the waves. So that's all the menfolk of the island who have suddenly gone, and now it's just women who are there. But then a sinister figure, I feel that he is like some sort of religious zealot, like, pastor's the wrong word, but I feel like there's some sort of like person from sort of a religious sense that kind of uses it as an excuse to kind of like control and order and have power, and basically thinks that all these women working by themselves are witches. It says it's based on the witch trials of 1621, and The Mercies is a story about how suspicion can twist its way through a community, and a love that may prove as dangerous as it is powerful. And again, we have these beautiful end pages of these waves, which are really pretty. So I'm very, very intrigued by this book, and I don't think I knew it was signed, but it's signed. That's really exciting. Ah, fun times. It is one of my 5-star predictions. I just feel like the themes of the story I'm excited about. The premise is really intriguing, and I feel that the writing's going to be really good. So all that done, let me snuggle back in and do some reading and let you know what I think of it. So I've read a bit. I've read 2 chapters, because that kind of brings me up to nearly 20 pages. So it's roughly the same amount that I've been reading of the other books. What's great in this one is there's a map, so you can see just how kind of far this little community is. I now can't find the map. So here we've got Norway and Sweden, and then all the way right at the top here, off that coast there, is this island, Vardos. So there's a closer map here. So that's the top of it, and then there's the island there. So we're introduced to our main character. So I've read like the prologue on the first 2 chapters. So we're introduced to our main character, Marden, and right at the beginning of the story, we're given kind of a rough kind of idea of what life is like for them. The women are sitting and sewing. The men have gone out on their fishing boats, and then they see the storm, and then only just started dealing with the kind of after effect. Everyone is still very much in shock about it and what they're going to do. Pardon me. So it feels really much like I've just scratched the surface of this. Again, definitely interested to keep reading, because I feel like I've only just scratched the surface. I'm like, I want to know more. What happens next? So it feels like a really nice sort of like slow burn. Like there's like details kind of put in about their life and what they've been doing. Like a description about her mother's hands like glittering with like little tiny fish scales from like when they then start salting the fish, and like all the different things they do to stay alive. It's very cold. It's very, very northern cold here. So it's a very hard life. So yes, it feels again a nice autumnal read with all of those atmospheres. With that atmosphere painted. So yes, I definitely want to read on and know more. So let's read the last one. And that is The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This book came out this year, and I have heard so many people talking about it and being excited about it. I deliberately haven't looked at people's reviews because I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything. Like, I'm already intrigued by this and excited by it, so I don't really want to know anything else. I really love this cover. I just think this is really fascinating. So we've got like sort of like a, I suppose like a brass kind of engraving with lamp and camels and this mysterious hooded figure here, and sort of the Arabian domed tops of the building, and even like these bits here, they're like the white, it's not just white, it's like patterned tiles. So that's really cool. And this is the Fairy Loot edition because I subscribe to the YA Fairy Loot box. So it's got beautiful purple sprayed edges and it's got like a purple tone, whereas the other one tends to be an orange. And very nice end pages as well. So lovely artwork here of the possibly the marketplaces. Some very pretty gold foiling on the cover of a compass. So yes, I'm very intrigued to see how this story is going to play out. So this is, we might get some coast in here, I'm not entirely sure, but this is very much like a desert fantasy. So it will be slightly different atmosphere to the other three that I have been reading. And again, I'm going to roughly read about 20 pages. It's also signed as well, which is nice. So that will be fun. So it's inspired by the stories from 1001 Nights. So it's a gripping tale of a legendary smuggler, a cowardly prince, and a dangerous quest across the desert to find a magic lamp. And then it has this sort of line that I presume is going to feature a lot in this book: neither here nor there, but long ago. So yes, I am excited about this fantasy. So I will have a little read and let you know my thoughts on it. Might need to hot my tea up. I'll make a fresh cup. It's a little bit on the cold side now. Okay, intrigued. So again, I read 2 chapters of this because that took me to pretty much 20 pages as well, which is fab. I now can't find it. Pardon me. Yeah, finished on page 21. So I feel like I've had an adequate amount of all of the books and like the same amount. So that is very good. So this, obviously being fantasy, is always going to be a book that talks to me, possibly very loudly. So already, straight away, in this world, there's djinn, there's magic, it's very atmospherical. I'm just having a lovely time there, wanting to know the situation, got a kind of understanding of the politics to start off with, and having read 2 chapters, I've read a chapter each from the perspective of the main characters. So we have one from, I think she calls, is it Luli? I'm going to call her Luli, but apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. Who is a merchant. And then from Mazen, who is a prince. And yes, intrigued, fascinated, want to kind of find out more about this world and where this story is going to go. And kind of the end of chapter 2, I was just like, what's happening here? What's going on here? So very easy to kind of just keep reading through this, because I will just eat up a fantasy book, because that is my fave. So also this one does have a map too, which is very exciting. So here we go. We do have a little bit of a coast, and it starts off on a boat. So there we go. We have all 4 coastal stories, and the boat is returning into this city here, and then obviously we've then got into the desert lands. And we start this off with a scroll and a legend about the tales of kind of djinn and the relationship with humans. I also forgot to say we have got some, in italics, we've got some kind of past life of Luli. So I'm very keen to work out what's happened to her family, how she comes to be where she is, who is this person she's working with. Well, it's the first chapter, so I think I can pretty much tell you. She's working there's a djinn. She seems to be very close with a djinn. Again, no idea about all of that. So yes, very exciting and intriguing, and just very easy to read. So all 4 books, there isn't none of these books I'm like, no, not reading that one. So that is really, really good. So here they all are, all my coastal books. So I think I already mentioned that I wasn't really feeling Poldark, because I didn't really want to get into a series. If, say, I'd only, for some magical reason, got just 5 on the go and was ready to start another series, I don't necessarily know if I'd pick this one up, just because there's just something about it. I think it's possibly almost like the new beginnings, returning to land, that is giving me more end of winter, beginning of spring vibes. I did not realise I was a vibey person until I have just been enjoying a lot more booktube and been making my own channel. I just read what I wanted to when I wanted to. Whereas I now enjoy reading more seasonally and kind of reading books at their optimum moment. So it's not going to be Poldark. It could be any of these 3. Like, I would very gladly, I mean, I have to like get on and do some other stuff now, but I could so gladly come back up and just straight away read the rest of any one of these. They were all really intriguing, like very easy to read. So yeah, it's quite a hard decision as to which one I go for. Also, because I have a few books on the go already, I'm not going to be dipping into one of these straight away. It will be in sort of like a week or 2 that I'm going to be reading one of these. So my mood could change by then. So I don't know. So obviously I was having a great time with the Stardust Thief. I'm really enjoying the magic in here. I feel I could read this at any time. So in terms of if I'm going for like seasonal vibe, there wasn't really, it felt it could very be cozy, magical, wintry, autumny, snuggly book. It could easily be reading it in the nice warm sunshine. So I didn't it could go either way. Whereas I feel with these two, reading them now feels like the optimum time. Like if we suddenly then got to June, I felt I could read this one, but obviously I could read whatever I wanted, but I feel these feel better to be read now. So I'm gonna put this one back. So between these two mysteries, so Lamplighters, do I need to just read a bit more to decide if which one I feel like, which one ends up me just continuing to stay with? So it is all very intriguing, and I do want to know the mystery and be pulled into that. I have recently read a thriller, so I don't know if I just want to keep going with that or pick something up. This one, like, I really feel like, again, both of them in terms of like cozy reading now feel great. With the Mercies, I think that I do want to know more. I want to know, where do they go from here? And though I'm intrigued by this one, I think because I've already met the main character, this one's pulling me more right now. And it's also very cold. Whereas this one I think could be either. I'm enjoying the kind of by the sea-ness. But I think this one feels a bit like hard and cold. So reading it in the kind of like end of October, beginning of November feels good. And I do want to read Kira Millward Hargrave. I do want to read one of her books. It'd be great to actually read something by her this year. That would be very cool. So I think I am very much leaning more towards the Mercies right now. And I think I've made the decision, haven't I? I have, yes. So yes, okay, cool. I've selected the Mercies. I've done it. Hooray. Okay, marvellous. So really excited to read these at some point. But for now, they're going to go back on the shelves. And I'll be reading the Mercies in the end of October, November. So yes, I'm excited. Really quite tempted just to pick it up and keep reading again, because it was... I want to know what happens. I want to know what's going to happen next. It's really good. Maybe I have got myself some scones, so I could just finish eating and read a bit more. Don't worry, I'll be careful of my sticky fingers. These were from when my parents came. They always like stop at a farmhouse and will buy like random goodies, and there's some amazing scones that they brought back with them, and we never managed to like finish eating them. So I put them in the freezer and I just defrosted them, and they taste fantastic. It's so yummy. So I have loved doing this tea and taste. It's been very relaxing. I don't really want to let it go, but time is ticking, and I have to. And I probably should stop talking and rambling and wrap up this video. So we are going with the Mercies. This is a book that I'm going for from the Tea and Taste. So let me know, do you ever do this? I think lots of other people call it try a chapter, which is a much better name for it. But I enjoy Tea and Taste because I'm tasting the book and drinking tea. So there we go. Let me know if you have tried it. If you haven't, I highly recommend. Randomly choose 4 books, read the first chapter, and decide which one is speaking to you the most at that moment in time. I have so much fun doing this. I would really love to hear from you guys about what you've tried and what called to you the most. So please let me know. Also, out of these 4, which one would you have picked up? Is there any of these books that you were most excited for? Happy reading, everyone, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!